starting with their external features and then moving inward. As you can see, there's a screen protector on the display, which we will carefully remove first. It has the same 5-inch 1280 by 720 screen as the Trimui Smart Pro. The screen features full lamination. In terms of performance, the original had an A133P chip, but this one has been upgraded to an A523 chip, which means gaming performance should see some improvements. We'll check that out later. Besides the handheld gaming console itself, it also comes with some accessories. Let's take a look at what's included. We have detailed information about the buttons, a USB-A to USB-C charging and data cable, and a carrying case that perfectly accommodates the device. This handheld console operates on a Linux system, meaning its screen lacks touch functionality. Additionally, when contrasted with the Smart Pro model, this version of the device has added active cooling. This aperture serves as the air intake vent, and this one functions as the air exhaust vent. The material of the buttons feels noticeably softer compared to the original design. Observing the directional pad, it protrudes slightly more than its predecessor. Similarly, the joystick also has an increased protrusion and employs TMH replacement joysticks, the initial TREME model. These joysticks cannot be pressed down. The ABXY buttons also utilize conductive rubber pads, offering a superior tactile feel compared to the original design. Let's take a moment to listen to the sound. Similar to the other physical buttons, it's also slightly elevated. Regarding the logo located at the bottom right of the screen, we now observe 3 additional vertical bars. Moving to the top, we find the power button. Interestingly, the green Smart Pro S features an extra home button. Centrally positioned is the expansion Type-C port, although it lacks video output functionality. Following that, to its right, these are the volume up and down controls. Additionally, the size of the trigger buttons has been notably enlarged. Let's now assess the tactile experience of these buttons. The previous version felt quite rigid. However, let's now examine the Smart Pro S. Its overall increased dimensions make pressing the buttons a bit more pleasant and ergonomic. So next, now let's examine the bottom section. You'll find the FN button and the DC charging port, which functions as our Type-C charging port. The original microphone location has been repurposed into a restart button. Additionally, there's the TF card slot, the 3.5mm headphone jack, and the microphone has been cleverly relocated to the lower right side. The left side thoughtfully retains the lanyard attachment point. This is the Smart Pro. The S model now integrates active cooling, featuring specific intake and exhaust vents. And down here, at the base, we notice the inclusion of 2 distinct notches. These function as connection points for its front extender, which can also be utilized on the device's back. Now let's determine if there's any change in overall weight. The original bare unit tipped the scales at 252 grams, whereas the Smart Pro S weighs 257. Weighing 257 grams is not significantly heavier, even with the added active cooling. Perhaps some of you haven't experienced the TREME Smart Pro, so you might lack a clear idea of its actual dimensions. Let's place it alongside some popular handheld consoles to give you a better visual. At the bottom, we have the PS Vita. Observe how its length is slightly greater than the PS Vita's. Now, let's proceed to examine. This showcases the A523 chip's performance while running God of War. If this game can maintain a consistent 60 frames per second, it could truly function as an ideal plug-and-play substitute. At the top, an extra M button is present, which, upon being pressed, will display the brightness adjustment. This acts as a convenient, quick settings menu. And there's sound adjustment too. At the very top, you'll find the light effects, which allow you to switch the joystick lighting on or off. You can also turn vibration on or off. Here's the network section. And yes, it supports both Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, which we'll be using for streaming shortly. Furthermore, it also features a fan for cooling. Fan speed settings. You can manually adjust the fan's RPMs as well. There's an automatic mode that dynamically adjusts based on the internal temperature, and altogether, you have 5 distinct levels of fan speed control. Before we proceed, let's briefly review its associated settings. Currently, 2xpnp is activated. We can clearly observe that with multiple characters displayed, it's capable of maintaining a smooth 30 frames per second. In more intricate scenes, the frame rate tends to drop to approximately 26 frames per second. Alright, let's switch the display quality to 1xpnp and observe the outcome. At 1x, we've noticed that the frame rate doesn't show a significant change, still hovering around 30 frames per second. This suggests that the multiplier doesn't really have much of an impact on its performance. However, since it is indeed clearer, we will definitely play it at 2 times the resolution. This A523 chip, it seems, still struggles quite a bit with God of War. Let's switch over to Grand Theft Auto. It's also configured to run at a 2x resolution. The frame rate is displayed in the top right corner for everyone to observe. That's not bad at all. We're seeing a really stable 30 frames per second right now. Let's head over and take a look at this vehicle, this tank. Oh, it seems I can't actually get into it. Alright then, I guess we'll just have to hop back out and continue on that little scooter we were riding earlier. Well, I wanted to get in there, but it won't let me. Let's get out of here. I'll just hop back on the scooter then. Oh, that's pretty good. If you truly immerse yourself, the experience with Grand Theft Auto could be twice as enjoyable. Next, let's play Warriors Orochi again. This is also running at a 2x resolution. Everyone, please keep an eye on the frame rate displayed in the top right corner. Let's do this. With active cooling, it actually feels quite good. A stable 30 frames per second at 2x resolution. The system's logic is really well implemented. I noticed they've organized games into categories, the most demanding titles and featured selections, which are also well categorized. Iconic games like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Castlevania are present, and the game genres span from PvP to FC. Everything's right here, including a selection of independent games that are mostly ported titles, such as Celeste, Diablo, Grand Theft Auto 3, Sword and Fairy, and Brothers, A Tale of Two Sons. I particularly enjoy playing Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Shredder's Revenge, so I'll probably jump in and play that for a bit. This version, like the original, also features haptic feedback. Playing these ported games feels incredibly comfortable and enjoyable. When compared to Android systems, I personally find myself gravitating more towards the Linux system. It's perfectly capable of playing videos, so let's take a moment to observe the video playback quality. This device features a 720p display. We can also amplify the audio to properly assess its sound effects and overall acoustic performance. This time, the sound is emitted not only from the front, but also from the rear. If these two specific points are obstructed, the sound will solely emanate forward. Conversely, if they remain unobstructed, audio will project from both the front and the back. This also has Bilibili, so let's try watching some videos on it. Yes, let's explore its video watching capabilities and see how well it handles streaming content. We can test out various videos and see the quality. How about we give it a shot right now? It handles maxed out Danmaku with absolutely no problem. I've just emerged from my cocoon for this new season, and I'm still unprepared with fresh clothing. It's perfectly acceptable to feel bored while single-handedly lugging my baggage around. This particular time, the joystick now has a downward press function, and all the button configurations are entirely complete. So, let's proceed to evaluate how well game streaming functions on this device. We are presently engaged in streaming Dark Wukong, and maneuvering the character around feels quite challenging. It seems this chip still faces some challenges with game streaming. Now let's take a look to see if classic games come with shaders or overlays. For this particular game, we observe that no shaders are preset, which is quite a discovery. Let's delve into the menu and see if we can activate the shaders. At present, overlays are solely accessible for FC, GB, GBA, GBC, MD, and SFC systems. Any additional shaders must be incorporated manually. Indeed, FC does feature them, and the GBA likewise provides shaders, even when employing the left and right B buttons for gameplay. This system, its network connectivity is truly excellent, so let's put it to the test right now. I'm about to launch Cadillacs and Dinosaurs on the Smart Pro S. You'll observe that this classic game, Cadillacs and Dinosaurs, also appears within the network games section of the original Smart Pro. With a simple click, the two systems can easily link up and play together, as it's specifically designed for seamless online interaction. Connecting is incredibly straightforward. We just need to bring in another player. It's the same when pairing with other handheld consoles. This is also a Trimui device, so if we click on it, the two units will establish a connection. And speaking of the Trimui, they've also released this transparent protective case, which makes the device feel even more comfortable to hold. The lanyard is designed to attach securely to the back of the device. Finally, I'll dismantle it to observe the internal craftsmanship and identify any discrepancies from the original build. After removing all the screws, a quick prying motion will grant us access. Let's delve into the interior. We have its antenna, the cooling fan, and the heat dissipation fins. The battery boasts a capacity of 5000 mAh. On the left and right sides are the speakers, then the joystick, and finally, its trigger mechanism. Now let's place it alongside the previous generation Smart Pro and examine them. This is the Smart Pro. The original Smart Pro featured an exceptionally thick thermal grease pad here. Internally, when compared to the Smart Pro, the design has certainly seen some enhancements, but it isn't what one would consider meticulously organized. To conclude, let's discuss the button arrangement and external appearance. The tactile sensation of the buttons. The haptic feedback feels somewhat improved compared to the Smart Pro, with the overall body being slightly raised. It now incorporates L3 and R3 buttons, and the joysticks are also depressible. Initially, the joysticks used carbon film, but these have been upgraded to Tianba, marking a significant enhancement. The trigger buttons have an enhanced feel and are now larger. Furthermore, a new quick access button has been added to the top side. This also significantly enhances its practicality. I'm quite fond of its Linux-based operating system. The performance is driven by an A523 chip, which isn't a massive leap from the previous A133P. However, it manages to maintain around 30 frames per second in God of War at 2x native resolution, a noticeable improvement given the original version struggled greatly even at 1x among Linux handhelds with a bit. Among the higher performing Linux handhelds available right now, the Trimui Smart Pro S certainly distinguishes itself. The range of colors has expanded, but I personally believe the original gray and off-white color scheme possesses a more timeless appeal. Ultimately, its success will hinge on its pricing. Should it be priced competitively, this handheld gaming device presents a rather compelling option. What are your thoughts on it? That's it for this video. If you liked it, please hit the like, subscribe, and share buttons. Have a great day.